The Public Service Commission today started its 7th diplomatic induction course for aspiring diplomats. And for the first time, the Commission has also opened up the course to individuals from the private sector as well as regional counterparts. As Salite Start explains, the course is being facilitated by a seasoned diplomat, our ambassador to Japan, Isikeli Mateitonga.
In the not-too-distant future, these officials may just become our next batch of diplomats. But to get there, they must undergo special training.
We would have trained more than 100 through this program. This is the 7th one, as you rightly mentioned. And it will continue because civil servants need to continue to be exposed to such kind of training.
For the first time, aspiring diplomats from neighboring island countries such as Tuvalu and Kiribati were also part of this program. Given the demanding role these diplomats have to play, these hopefuls also received some timely reminders.
To be good in this job, you should be a quick thinker and a problem solver. Be tactful, as always expected of a diplomat, matured in your approach, committed to the calling and the mission, and be well organized.
The Commission hopes to further strengthen this program in the future.
It is something which will require or involve further accreditation in time to come, and we are pursuing that together with Foreign Affairs with the academic institutions for formal qualifications in this area.
After all, as some say, diplomacy is more than just a profession, it's an art. Apisalome Rambo, FJ1 News.
The Land Transport Authority, the Fiji Roads Authority and police have teamed up to crack down on overloading on our roads. They have now taken the awareness campaign to the roads in the hope of educating motorists on excessive loads. Once awareness is done, offending drivers can expect stiff on-the-spot fines.
All vehicles traveling on our roads have a mandated weight, but over the years, overloading has become a serious problem on our roads.
The Land Transport Authority are pulling over vehicles that they wish to weigh, to check them for their loads. They have axle weighers, so they're weighing each individual axle, and then they total up the weight of each individual axle to get the gross weight of a vehicle and a load. Any load that exceeds a threshold, then the driver is fined.
For the drivers as well as the public, when a particular vehicle is overloaded, risks such as reduced stopping and steering ability becomes an issue. Overloading also the likely cause for the damage to our roads, bridges and jetties. The Land Transport Authority, the Fiji Roads Authority and the Fiji Police Force have put together these procedural mechanisms in the form of these portable scales to let the trucks drive in and have their weights checked. After their weights have been checked, the numbers will give the official examiner the word on whether to let the trucks go or to stop them here and wait for future offloading of their cargoes. This particular awareness operation along Kings Road will continue for the next 2 weeks.
Each agency is picking up their own internal costs because we've all, this is our core business anyway. Certainly for the Land Transport Authority, their core business is around public safety and vehicle overloading. So they're picking up their costs internally. We're supplying some additional resources for them in terms of logistics and plant and equipment, so that we're all playing the part.
Once this awareness is done, drivers who are caught with excess loads or weight could cop a fine of $1,000 for every offence. Apisalome Rambo, FJ1 News.
The Immigration Department is working in collaboration with the Elections Office to help Fijian nationals living overseas obtain a valid passport. This is aimed at helping them register to vote. Apisalome Rambo with that story.
Teams from the Immigration Department will fly out next week to assist passport applicants and dual citizenship applicants. Following a directive from the Prime Minister's office, those targeted include those in the US, UK, Canada, Australia and New Zealand.
We have a program which will be distributed to you so that the Fijian community abroad will know which centers that they'll have to go to in order for them to have the applications received by the team from immigration.
Vuniwanga says the project has been carried out in line with advice coming from the head of missions abroad and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
We've yet to receive the confirmed figures from the head of missions. We do not have those figures with us right now. Apart from the figures that we've received thus far is 30,000 with in New Zealand That's the confirmed figures from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
Senior officers from the department are also accompanying the teams
For this exercise to take place, because like I said, the elections team will be leaving on Friday. It will mean that when the team returns on Wednesday, we'll be processing those applications in double quick time, and for that applications to go back, but we'll still maintain those fees, $76 for that passport renewal.
The first team will leave for Australia next Monday. Apisalome Rambo, FJ1 News.
SODELPA is now ready to contest the upcoming September general election. After naming 45 candidates yesterday, some candidates say the road ahead will be challenging. Apisalome Rambo reports.
Now preparing for the challenging road ahead, it's down to the addressing the issues for those that will contest for SODELPA.
I pursue the policy of negotiation and dialogue to bring about a peaceful solution to Fiji challenges.
For some candidates who have been through the public service and private sector, yesterday was not only about them.
And we stand today for our generations to come, and that is our legacy, and that is also the responsibility that is in place for SODELPA to take us forward.
For those managing SODELPA's engine room, yesterday was only the beginning.
We still have about 5 or 6 more to name, but it's a great relief that we've gone over that, and now the hard work is really going to start on the campaigning.
SODELPA's lineup of candidates gives a clear picture of the variety of issues they intend to address in their campaign.
This is very important when you govern, that there are people who are expertise or experts in certain areas.
Apisalome Rambo, FJ1 News.
The People's Democratic Party is in the process of reviewing potential candidates for the elections. The party manifesto is also expected to be released early next month.
Having campaigned already in the West, the Suva Nusori Corridor, Tailevu, Naitasiri, Rewa Lambasa, the Lomai Viti Group, Lau and Kandavu are the next stop on the schedule.
We are a new party that comes up with something different that people are looking for. And I think we're targeting those undecided voters, and it's going very well.
Tambuya says application time for their candidates is now closed, and currently they are vetting and interviewing their candidates.
We should be able to announce our first batch of candidates on the 5th of July, Saturday the 5th of July, which is in this coming month. We're not rushing the process. We believe we need to find quality candidates, especially those that have proven community work. That is one of our criteria.
Tambuya added their party manifesto, a highly anticipated document, will also be announced on the 5th of next month, based on the 4 pillars the party believes in.
The 4 things are democracy, human rights, equality, and social justice. So you will find these very much intertwined in our policies.
Tambuya says a variety of minority groups that are usually underrepresented also forms part of their party strategies, which also includes economic policies needed to bring the national economy up again. Apisalome Rambo, FJ1 News.
In other news, 2 men appeared in the High Court this morning over allegations of importation of illicit drugs. One of the accused already faces charges of a recent case of drugged cookies uncovered by police last week. Apisalome Rambo again with the details.
The duo appeared in court this morning for allegations of unlawful importation of illicit drugs into the country. They have been charged under Section 4.1 of the Illicit Drug Control Act 2004. Rakesh Prasad Charan is charged with 1 count of unlawful importation, 2 counts of unlawful possession, and 1 count of money laundering. His younger sibling, Rajen Prasad Charan, is charged with unlawful importation of illicit drugs. Rakesh Prasad Charan, the first accused, is remanded in custody and due to reappear in court tomorrow as a co-accused for another recent case of drugged cookies that was discovered by police last week. His appearance in court tomorrow means his charge will be combined with the other co-accused for that case. The accused lawyer, Adarayawa, asked the court for bail, arguing that the prosecution did not have sufficient evidence to refuse bail. However, the court ruled that Rakesh is to be remanded in custody due to public interest. His younger sibling, Rajan, will appear in court again on the 27th of this month. Apisalam Rambo, FJ1 News.
And with one team out in the Falau group conducting voter education, a similar exercise took to the streets. In the heart of the capital city late yesterday, election officials also rolled out the awareness campaign. And on hand to touch base with the public was Supervisor of Elections himself, Mohammed Sanim.
Months of training finally put to the test as the Fiji Elections Office workers converged at the EV Triangle late yesterday afternoon as the voter awareness campaign kicked off.
What we are doing is that, as you can see, our team members are actively distributing brochures and to every commuting public who will be now going home from work. And this is the start of the voter education awareness campaign, and what we're currently having is just one of the methods which we are using to get to the maximum number of people we can before 17th of September.
Sanim says this is only the start of a massive nationwide campaign.
We are going around Fiji, and from tomorrow you will see us in all townships in Fiji, and we will be publishing our schedule in the paper shortly.
Commuters were informed of the details related to elections process, and Sanim himself was on site to strengthen the drive. And as for the team already in the Lau group, Sanim says they are on schedule.
The team has left already. We are up and running in Moala, should be finishing off and returning to the boat. This is going to continue throughout the country.
The campaign is all part of a multi-pronged approach by the Elections Office to raise awareness in the lead up to elections. Apisalam Rambo, FJ1 News.
Very good evening. Leading this bulletin, the arrival last night of the Indonesian President Susilo Bambang Yudhoyono will now also raise the profile of the second Pacific Islands Development Forum. The historic visit also underscores the growing ties between Fiji and Indonesia. President Yudhoyono will be delivering the keynote speech once the second PIDF summit gets underway in Denarau later this evening.
The arrival late last night of Indonesian President Susilo Bambang Yudhoyono also ushers in a new era for the country. Prime Minister Voreqe Bainimarama was on hand to meet the arriving president at Nadi Airport, saying that it was a great honor to welcome the Indonesian head of state to Fiji. Bainimarama says his presence here clearly signifies the importance of the PIDF, the Pacific's grand coalition of regional governments, civil society organizations, and the private sector. Bainimarama also saying in a statement that Indonesia, a nation of more than 250 million people spread across nearly 13,500 islands, is one of the Pacific's most important development partners. The Indonesian head of state was accorded a 100-man guard of honor by the Republic of Fiji military forces and the Fiji naval forces upon his arrival at Nadi Airport. President Yudhoyono is leading a delegation of the 2014 PIDF meeting where he will deliver the keynote address. While in Fiji, he is also expected to hold talks with senior government officials, including the President of Fiji, Ratuepeli Nailatikau. The second PIDF summit will also include high-level participants from 12 Pacific Island governments, as well as observers from nations such as Morocco, Venezuela, Israel, Singapore, Kazakhstan, Kuwait, and Georgia. The Prime Minister of Tonga, Lord Siale Ataongo Tuivakano, also arrived last night along with President for Nauru, Baron Divavesiwanga, who has paternal links to Naloto in Tailevu. Apisalam Rambo, FJ1 News.
Very good evening. Former Native Land Trust Board General Manager Kalibati Mbakani has now changed his plea before the court. He is charged along with fellow former director Kenny Ndakwinreketi on allegations of abuse of office. Mbakani has now pleaded guilty, changing the dynamics of the case.
The high-profile case between the state and former NLTB directors Kalibati Mbakani and Kenny Ndakwinreketi took a new twist this morning. Mbakani today opting to plead guilty to some of the charges against him. Following this, a plea for sentencing for the first accused to be dealt with separately. Counsel for the second accused, Ndakwinreketi, then asked the court for time to read the summary of facts. The summary of facts was then read in court, with Mbakani now pleading guilty to 5 charges of abuse of office against him. This includes the first count, where it is alleged he facilitated a loan of $2 million to be made to Pacific Connects Limited, owned at that time by businessman Balu Khan. He also pleaded guilty to the third count of approving an additional loan of $900,000 to the same company. The fifth count he also pleaded guilty to was over an alleged government grant of $1 million he facilitated between the 28th of February to 28th of April 2005 to be used as a security for a loan made by Pacific Connects. Mbakani has also pleaded guilty to his role in facilitating a $1 million loan used as a security for an overdraft facility to Pacific Connects, as well as an additional $1 million loan made by Vanua Development Corporation Limited to Pacific Connects Limited. In his closing remarks, Counsel for Mbakani, Filimoni Vosarongo, says the trial has been ongoing since 2009 and Mbakani has been diligent before the court at all times, honoring bail commitments. A medical report was also submitted. Mbakani now will be sentenced separately on each of the 5 counts he has pleaded guilty to. This will, however, have to await the outcome of the trial against the Queen Raketi. The two will appear in court again on the 11th of July. Apisalom Rambo, FJ1 News.
Fiji Dairy Limited and the Fiji Cooperative Dairy Company Limited are still waiting on a meeting called by the Agriculture Ministry over a month ago. FCDCL today says unless proper measures are taken to urgently address the low quality of milk claimed by the Fiji Dairy Limited, farmers will continue to be faced with low farm gate prices. Apisalom Rambo with the details.
Waiting on a meeting that was promised to them more than a month ago, but it seems it will not happen anytime soon.
We are yet to get a confirmation on the date or the venue from where the meeting is going to be held. So we are still waiting for a confirmation from them. We have heard that the ministry is going to get involved, and I think the ministry should get involved because dairy industry supports a lot of families.
The price of milk Fiji Cooperative Dairy Company Limited is buying from the farmers has been debated for some time now. An issue determined by the quality of milk in the market, a standard the Fiji Dairy Limited says farmers should produce.
If I'm running a lab, I'll do the testing the way I want, and it may be the right way to do it, it may not be the right way of doing it, but if we have an independent testing laboratory or independent testing facility where the standards are set and the standards are agreed by both the parties including the ministry, and then all the testing is done according to those standards.
Nan says a concerted effort between all stakeholders is vital to bring everyone together for this meet. In particular, when the long wait means pressure on farmers to produce above their financial means.
The Fiji Cooperative Dairy Company Limited has been looking forward for this meeting for almost a year now. So it is something which we are eagerly waiting to attend. And we'll attend it and then we'll put our figures there, we'll put our cost there, we'll put all our documents there, and this is our cost of production. This is what we want to pay our farmers.
Nan added all FCDCL wants is transparency and accountability for the farmers. Apisalome Rambo, FJ1 News.
The Citizen Constitutional Forum is awaiting approval from the Fijian Elections Office to allow it to help with voter education. They propose to focus on what they are describing as domestic observers. Apisalome Rambo has more.
The Citizens Constitutional Forum offering an olive branch to the Elections Office, the Electoral Commission and the Supervisor of Elections, opting to help in the empowerment of the people in the elections build-up.
We're part of the voter education process. We're close to the Electoral Commission and Supervisor of Elections. We have had exchanges, and we also, in particular, were interested in setting up a domestic observers team, and we've asked for that.
The CCF also working according to current legislative provisions.
I think under a particular section we have to ask the Minister of Elections, and that request has gone. If that is so, then we will be training 300 observers, technical observers, not people who belong to political parties or whatever, but these are technical observation.
Yambaki says the process allows neutrality and objectivity to set the pace on the actual ground come elections day.
Whichever party wins, if you have a team of domestic observers who are technically trained and be able to certify that the election results is commendable, it's trustworthy, that's good for the country.
Yambaki added domestic observers technically trained is a human resource that can be applied in future elections.
We have a person of international experience who's been here, Dr. Heiko Meinhardt, a German from Hamburg, and he's had 14 years experience on technical observing in difficult places like Sierra Leone, Liberia, even Zimbabwe. So he had lots of experience.
Apisalome Rambo, FJ1 News.
The Fiji Roads Authority today met with some of its key partners in trying to better understand safety laws surrounding its work. This also included issues such as occupational health and safety, as well as workers' compensation. The meeting was also attended by Labour Ministry and FNPF officials.
Officials from the Labour Ministry voicing concerns commonly aired by employees. One key issue is how some employers do not treat their workers according to relevant legislations, a trend the Fiji Roads Authority intends to curb.
And to protect the workers who are working for contractors that are working in turn for the FRA. It's to make sure that they get what they're due and they're treated properly and looked after as far as safety is concerned.
Hunter highlighted the presence of one of the stakeholders as a sign of their commitment to carry out ethical policies in a transparent and accountable manner.
That's around workers' rights to the Provident Fund and having their money deducted from their pay in order to make their contributions to the Provident Fund. The employer, as I understand it, has an obligation to make a contribution to the fund on behalf of the employee, and as I understand it, that's not always happening. So that's why they're here today.
Hunter goes on to highlight the provisions under the FRA Decree 2012, which requires the authority to act corporately under law.
It takes us away from the government laws of government departments, the rules that bind government departments, but it means that we have to have our own policies and procedures to guide us in these things. So we've got, if you like, we've got a bit more freedom than the government departments, but we still have the obligations.
Hunter says they cannot name names, but they want employers to do things right. The Fiji Roads Authority has made its position clear that anyone engaged to work for the authority must consider their obligations as employers seriously. Relative to that, to comply to legislations as required. Apisalo Merambo, FJ1 News.
A former national rugby representative hopes to shed more light on the financial contribution our overseas rugby players have to the economy. Koli Sewambu is working together with the Reserve Bank on a research paper that hopes to help us better understand the dynamics behind what is now one of the country's biggest foreign exchange earners, remittances. Api Salome Rambo with the details.
Many know Rotherman for his exploits on the rugby paddock, but for this former national rep, it wasn't hard to see being a professional player has its limits, urging him to look into the economics of a sport he loves so much.
But what I believe in terms of financial literacy is having the knowledge, the skills, the behavior to better manage one's own personal finances that will lead to sustainable living.
Being aware of the similar issues current professional players are facing prompted Sewambu to try and capture the local perception on financial literacy.
I needed data for my research, so that led me into the Reserve Bank to try and get a picture of what the country is earning in terms of remittances, understanding that sport is growing. The issue of sports migration, everyone's going offshore and sending money back home.
Sewambu says the current cycle of player migration has also become a keen interest of study, particularly remittances sent back home.
Studies have also shown that majority of the money is used for consumption. So when players send money home, it's consumed rather than being invested.
Sewambu says he is currently working on a program that can enhance the potential of professional sports players to better utilize their finances. Apisalo Merambo, FJ1 News.
Prime Minister Josiah Borenke Bainimarama has reaffirmed the stance taken by his government to make Fiji a secular state. Speaking to a multiracial farming community in Navuso yesterday, Bainimarama says government will not force anyone to worship in a way they are not comfortable with. Apisalo Merambo with the details.
In any society, religion is always a highly sensitive matter. During a Talanoa session yesterday, the PM touched on why his government has reflected these in its 2013 constitution.
Another lie that these would-be politicians are spreading, that there is a threat to Christianity because Fiji is now a secular state and that Jesus needs defending. Jesus does not need defending. If anything, his position in Fiji has never been stronger.
Bainimarama says the idea behind secularism was inclusiveness.
Explain to the Fijians what a secular state really means, telling them that no religion in Fiji is under threat. especially Christian and Methodist. In fact, it's quite the opposite. All it means is that the state, the government in this case, is neutral when it comes to religion. It does not take sides as in previous years. It doesn't matter if you're a Christian, a Hindu, a Buddhist, a Seventh-day, a Methodist or Catholic or Pentecostal. The government does not interfere with what you believe in, and treats every religion equally.
He also reaffirmed that all Fijians should continue to worship as they wish.
There is nothing to stop Christians from worshipping publicly or in private, preaching the gospel or saying Christian prayers in our schools. Nothing. And that's the case with other religions too. What no religion can do is force people of another religion to worship or pray for a supreme being they don't believe in. And that is the right thing to do in a multi-religious nation like Fiji.
Bainimarama goes on to say real freedom of worship is about worshipping as one's conscience dictates, something he says is reflected under the 2013 Constitution. Apisalam Rambo, FJ1 News.
Native land is protected in the 2013 Constitution. Speaking to the farming community in Maputo yesterday, Prime Minister and leader of the Fiji First Party, Vorengen Bainimarama, urged people to read their constitution in order to get to the truth.
A particular portion can be used for a period of time if the government needs land for some public purpose, like a road or airport. The provision to use land for public purpose has been there in all our constitution and all our previous laws. This happens all over the world also.
Landowners, Bainimarama says, are entitled to compensation from government when their land is in use, highlighting some of the changes his government has implemented.
They did this by first converting it to crown land and then selling it on. This land was lost forever. I stopped this practice in a decree in 2012. I closed these loopholes, and I did it specifically to make our land safer, to put it beyond the reach of those unscrupulous people among us who are willing to sell off our birthright for personal gain.
The smallness and remoteness of Fiji and its Pacific neighbours have made the Pacific Ocean a challenge for seafarers and travellers. This has brought to the fore the issue of sustainable sea transport. Apisalam Rambo with the details.
It seems the writings are on the walls for those attending this international conference this morning, particularly seafarers who've turned up here in numbers.
The time will come when we have to go back to sailing again. You know, it'll come where only the rich can afford fuel. And the villages, you know, they won't be able to afford fuel, then what? And by then they've already lost all their sailing knowledge.
Bringing their role to the fore is the custodians of a skill that needs revamping. The development of modern technology in our own backyard will lift up their efforts a notch and certainly provide a great sense of optimism.
I heard that Total in Vunda, yeah, they operated on full solar. Even though they sell fuel and everything, they've got a big yard full of solar panels. You know, so that's a petroleum company that sells fuel, and yet it doesn't even use its own fuel for its electricity. It's got a big solar yard and everything.
Jonathan Smith adds, with an alternative source of renewable energy, it's interesting to see how much one can save from it.
It depends on the size of the vessel, and you can use both. You know, you don't have to make it fully solar. You can have motor and solar for your electricity. You, at least if you have solar panels on your ships, like these local ferries, if they had solar panels all on the top of their roof over there, they can shut down one generator. That saves fuel. Sometimes, you know, one generator can use like 60 liters an hour. So imagine if you could save fuel by shutting down one generator and using your solar panels for all your electricity on board.
This international conference on sustainable sea transport and renewable energy concludes on Friday. Apisalam Rambo, FJ1 News.
Very good evening. It seems the momentum towards the general elections is well and truly heating up. From land issues, education policies to possible coalitions. These are just some of the questions being directed at political parties now conducting their public campaigns. At Kurabui last night, the Fiji First Party once again faced off with party supporters, answering questions directly and also clarifying issues. Apisalam Rambo with the details.
Speaking to this group in Kurabui, the Prime Minister clarified an issue close to the hearts of the Itauke and Fijians alike.
If Yabusa Martin Kurabui had the 25% pounded, they would have NLTB would have taken 1/4. of the money that was given to them, 1/4. But now they've only taken 10% of that money as their fee. Because I've moved that poundage down from 25% to now 10% over the years. That gives more money back to the landowners.
Issues of land continuously popping up here at Kalambu Fijian School, but the Yavusa Matani Korovatu have been reassured by the Prime Minister himself that Itauke land security is firmly entrenched in the provision of the 2013 Constitution. Fiji First free education policy also questioned.
Na free school fees, ngoy sini kay kangan ni binding tingi. O siya kasama tama ka chung may tulong ba ng pagsaud. O sa nga chung may kitun tambe pa na ortunan ko ibalis-lis, may kitutuwa naman doon itutuwa. May biro ba takin nanong ko kasama, may sulibiro ng ngon na may free.
Bainimarama explaining that his government's free education policy embeds multiracialism.
Oro ya sing madala nandende non ruwang mo siya na leba batake na sudal pa. Leba na leba or na India. Kora support to gichod dito may na bidon nambak. Na sudal pa, baka tambagin doang abi kenda nituke. Isinida na rital no ya kenda rita baka tutuwa na matatamata. Ebinaka.
Confirmation also have been given by the Prime Minister that claims been done by other political parties that VAT is going to be decreased by 15% literally means decreasing the $260 million that has been currently used by government for the people. Whatever happens, one thing is certain. The writings are on the wall for the Fiji First Party to clarify issues being asked by the public. It could be a socio-political determinant that could determine the sway of votes. Apisolom Rambo, FJ1 News.
The Grand Pacific Hotel will this Saturday come alive with the sounds of local musical artists as it hosts the Fiji Performing Rights Association Music Awards. Today a live rehearsal was underway, warming up to the big red carpet event this weekend. Apisolom Rambo with a sneak peek.
This is how it's all going to kick off this Saturday here at the Grand Pacific Hotel. 33 local artists will be out to get their hands on the 12 awards up for grabs. The traditional Vagalutu Ivode chant will set the mood for the night.
Well, it's been over 15 years since the last music award, which used to be called the Vagalutu Ivode, and now it's called FIPRA. It's the first one that FIPRA is organizing, and it's going really well, and it's a night to celebrate our members, their achievements, and you know, be recognized and be awarded and rewarded with all their hard work over the years.
The Vagalutu Ivode chant is the perfect time to sit and reminisce about the history of local music.
With our ancestors, as they'd come back from their chores of the day, now evening starts to fall. If they're out at sea, they'll be rowing back slowly in their canoes, right? And they'll be chanting Vagalutu Ivode, which means dipping your oar right into the sea. As they're moving, this is what they'll be doing.
This was the idea behind including the chant this Saturday.
Our predecessors who used to run the Vagalutu Ivode Awards thought that it was most appropriate to incorporate this into the program back then, starting from '92. Right? And we thought that it is in keeping with that history and in keeping with the general atmosphere. It's important to be maintained.
Organizers say Saturday night will be about celebrating Fiji's rich musical history.
You've just seen and heard for yourself the traditional Vagalutu Ivode chant performed by the men of Naisaumua village in the north of Tailevu that will open proceedings here on Saturday night at the Fiji Performers Rights Association FIPRA 2014 Music Awards. It is the perfect example of the traditional fused with the modern that has brought about much needed change in the local music fraternity. Apisolome Rambo, FJ1 News.
Good evening. Fresh from announcing its first batch of 21 candidates yesterday, the Fiji First Party today held its first Family Fun Day. This was held in the capital's landmark Sukuna Park. For the party, it was also a chance to meet informally with their support base and reinforce their message leading into the elections. Absalome Rambo with the details.
A carnival atmosphere, but with a serious political message. But for some, it was just another reason to soak in the cool conditions. For the Fiji First Party, today was all about the family. Even for the young, it was never too early to be a supporter. To the party stalwarts, it was the opportune time to drive home the message.
It is a family fun fair, and that's what Fiji First is all about. Fiji First is all about putting the family first. Putting the family first also means putting the country first. And that's what Fiji First is all about, putting the country first.
For the man at the helm of it all, the high turnout in his view is a sign for good things to come.
Well, as you know, this is the first rally that the Fiji First movement is holding. And then we will be holding another 4 or 5 rallies throughout the country in the next couple of weeks. And we expected a crowd such as this to come to the rally and bring together the unity that we've been talking about.
The event somewhat reassured the political theme the party has been preaching since its inception.
The Fiji First message to the people is really to look after the Constitution 2013 that we have. Because in that Constitution it brings about equal citizenry. And that equal citizenry does not only mean race. It talks about the little child such as this, the disabled, all different races, the Chinese, the Indo-Fijians, the Tokays, and that is the way forward for the new Fiji.
It's 3 p.m. here in the afternoon and Sukuna Park is still filled with people who have flocked in here for the Fiji First Family Fun Fair Day, the first of its kind to be held by a political party. It is probably the ideal picture of the new Fiji, the multicultural Fiji, the modern Fiji that Fiji First is aspiring to take Fiji towards come September 17 on General Elections Day. Abisalome Rambo, FJ1 News.
The Fiji First Party has called on the public to fully understand and embrace the 2013 Constitution. Party leader Vorenge Bainimarama made the comments following statements from other political parties on the possible amendments to the Constitution once voted into power. Abisalome Rambo has more.
The Fiji First leader not mincing his words as he takes on criticism in relation to the Constitution.
The people that want to get rid of the Constitution and amend it are from the old Fiji, and they want to take us back to the events of 2000, and which is not good.
Bainimarama also gave his view on a current debatable topic. Once again, the secular state issue is also one of the issues that's been hotly debated. What are your views, sir, as the leader for Fiji First and the PM for Fiji?
Well, you know what my views are on religion and especially on secular state. Secular state is endorsed by Fiji First because it gives you the freedom to express your views on religion. It doesn't take away your right. It gives you the right to endorse your own religion.
Bainimarama added it is now up to each individual on how to practice their beliefs.
Secular state means that I, as a Methodist, cannot force somebody who does not, who's not a Christian at least, to come and be a Methodist. Secular state gives you the freedom to express it.
The Fiji First Party leader says there will be similar fun day held in towns all over Fiji. Abisalome Rambo, FJ1 News.
Following their recent announcement as candidates for the Fiji First Party, a few hopefuls were yesterday getting familiar with the electorate. It was also an opportunity to hear concerns firsthand from those who will be casting their votes this September. And for this particular candidate, coming in with a 14-year legal background couldn't be more timely.
Lawyers that have worked in government have had a lot of input into the national policies of this country. I've had the opportunity to work very closely in certain policy-making sectors like telecommunications, for instance, liquor regulation in Fiji. So really, I have a lot to give in relation to the shaping of national policies relating to the manifesto that Fiji First is going to come up with.
For another candidate, it's about making a difference through government policies.
Well, I did mention that my background is marine engineering, but I've been through other phases in the career field as a gas man, I've been in the shipping industry, I've been in the transport industry, so varied. So I guess my contribution is more in a technical aspect within the government.
A community on the outskirts of the Lami town has received assistance in the form of a farm access road meant to improve their livelihood. For the people of Valenidina, subsistence farming integrated with commercial farming can now bring about some real financial returns. Abisalome Rambo with the details.
For the people of Valenidina community, farming have been always about subsistence economy, but since government has tapped into a system, commercial farming can now become a reality, brought about by this new farm access road.
The government allocated 1 million each year, 1 million to agriculture for the EPP and 1 million for non-K access.
Government has not only stepped in to boost productivity but also in marketing.
We open AMA and most of them prefer to sell it individually. They get more than just selling in the market. But in some place where the output is more and the market is less, we are prepared to take them into the agro marketing in government.
With 30 to 40 farmers in a community of a population of more than 200 people, catering for 50 to 60 households, landowners have also pitched in.
Are the landowners getting some sort of royalties from this compensation in terms of financial returns, or what is the agreement between government and the landowners?
The agreement is that they requested for this road, and there is no compensation on the damages. So the road is for them, just to assist them in their farming products.
Abisalome Rambo, FJ1 News.
Villages in the remote Rewa Delta are now earmarked to receive long-awaited electricity. As part of an Eastern Division media tour organized earlier this week, major government projects along the Rewa Delta have been described as almost complete. Abisalome Rambo visited one such area along the Rewa Delta to find out.
The mode of traveling into the lower Rewa Delta speaks volume of the remoteness of its location. Up until recently, villagers here were still literally in the dark. In 2012, as part of a $200,000 public sector improvement program, electricity finally arrived here.
2013, 100,000 goes for the water project, which had opened in December 12, 2013, the same year. But unfortunately, we had a short supply of pine post that we need to get direct from New Zealand. And then we managed to get that last 2 months.
In the past fortnight, the FEA has worked tirelessly around the clock to get the service here to hard-to-access Rewa Delta.
The FEA, through the power network subcontractor, managed to lay 18 poles. 18 poles, that's 18 by 50 meters. That's another 100,000 from Monira village right up to the spot where I'm standing.
Suka says the Integrated Human Resources Development Program under the Ministry of Strategic Planning will give another $100,000 to cater for more upgrades.
According to the Ministry of Tourism, this Matei-Subo ecotourism has also been identified as a water surfing spot for the tourism in the Central Division. I know that most of the surfers, they go to Tabarua, which is on the Western Division in Nanronga.
With these developments, villagers here are already looking forward to proper piped water and power come 2015. Abisalome Rambo, FJ1 News.
It is also turning out to be a game of political shadow boxing. After Fiji First's campaign rally in Namosi on Monday, today SEDELPA conducted theirs at the same venue. Whether it's a sign of the shifting loyalty of the once former SDL stronghold, for villagers in the area, this renewed attention is not a bad thing either.
The presence of students reflecting some of the issues the party planned to discuss today, the debate on free education continuing.
But we know very well that that is not the position. I think the real position, and one that the government should promote, is that they have tuition fee-free education.
Garase took time though to give some credit where it was due.
We thank the government for doing so. In addition to that, they have introduced school bus fare subsidy to certain sections of the student population.
Despite the Bainimarama government brushing aside issues such as the GCC and the 1997 Constitution, those issues were raised again today by Sodelpa. Sodelpa is trading carefully on grounds recently visited by the political arch-rival, the Fiji First Party, making sure they leave no stone unturned. Sustaining finances also raised.
The government has also announced assistance to capital expenditures in schools. This is a huge responsibility. It is virtually impossible for any government in Fiji to be catering for all those.
This will be the likely ball game from now onwards, a political cat-and-mouse campaign strategy where the most eloquent and convincing in public presentation will have the votes of the people come September 17, when all Fijians will go to the polls. Apisalome Rambo here in Namosi, FJ1 News.
Still on women, Suva's Vodafone Arena has been turned overnight into a makeshift commercial zone as thousands of women's wares were traded. Since its opening yesterday, thousands of handmade items spanning the breadth of the country have been sold. As Apisalome Rambo reports, this exposure has seen the 1,000 or so women from the 499 women's groups from around the nation cashing in on this unique showcase.
The Vodafone Arena brought together women folk from all over the country today as it moves on into the second day of the National Women's Expo, highlighting their handiworks as the draw card to this inaugural event.
We sell a lot of sweets and snacks and some sulu chamba and some mumu dress and homemade ghee and oil and some tamarind chutney and some pickles. So it was good.
We just we keep in our club and we donate to poor people and to people who need help. We help them.
Assorted items of all sorts array the neatly laid tables, prices reflecting the intricate handiwork and creativity that went into making them.
It's really a good time to come and meet and have a friendship relationship built. And especially some of us here don't even go to the village, and the women from the village came over. That's where we can meet. For sometimes 5 or 4 years ago we haven't met or go to the village.
Some have really traveled far, and being here means a lot to them.
I feel excited when I first came in here, since this is the first expo. And I like the place itself and the people. I like meeting them, and I think that's all.
Do you think we should have another expo next year?
I think so. And we are looking forward for the next one.
The National Women's Expo 2014 concludes tomorrow. This just the start of what will now be a major annual event. Apisalome Rambo, FJ1 News.
Newly registered political party One Fiji says Fiji will always have to address the issue of racial tolerance. However, One Fiji says Itauke interests such as land is important to all Fijians irrespective of our different ethnicities. Apisalome Rambo with the details.
One Fiji party leader, Filimoni Vosorongo, addressing two issues that have again been brought to the forefront of discussions: the issue of race and land. One Fiji believes across the board there is equal interest in land issues.
Lebu na tamata kau tamata tali mai weekend ni tuki. Nangono bitam no kino butkira. Rabina katalang ami tango makino non dengelo kenda ni tuki. Tango makino non dengol. Tango makino non da nakai tu en boti ningeli ni tuki. Koya nakaki na mikito na raido kito na One Fiji party. Nango na mena laindambe kino na parliament. Mena maroroi na kato do membelata na kawi tuki.
Vosorongo says the Itauke have also benefited from the investment and hard work of other Fijians.
Go and donate tuba and danarani mai huli kina and the sa huli talanga vale mai ver. The huli vale and kena baka diving done business. Kena baka tora da take done business. Kena maroroi and done business. Me mai non dora katamata kina dua tala tamata.
One Fiji believes mutual faith and understanding have also grown.
Saya tu kan dah lebih suli. And lebih suli and lebih kaya and sarawa mena non ramatu bubale, kan dah kau tamai non ramatu bubale. Kena be bambol. Kena be bambol. And Allah melindungi itu.
The party will announce its 20 candidates this Friday. Apisolome Rambo, FJ1 News.
Making Fiji a knowledgeable society remains high on Fiji First's political campaign agenda. Speaking in Makoi last night, Fiji First assured voters it will continue free education to empower Fijians and in the process make Fiji an attractive port of call for potential investors. Apisolome Rambo with the details.
Fiji First promising to continue free tuition in primary, secondary and tertiary education, telling people in Makoi that so-called socio-economical barriers are no more.
Those barriers have been taken away. Yes, you will have to take a loan, right? The top 600 get a scholarship, everybody else who gets the mark, they have entry into the institute. But you get entry.
Usamate says students now have more chances than before.
You get entry into education. In the past, the number of scholarships was limited. If you don't get a scholarship, a lot of people went back home. But now, under this system, whoever meets the criteria, you get access.
The current system of loan repayments was explained.
When you start working, then you can pay it back. If you don't start working, you don't have to pay anything back. But what happens as a result of this? We have a more educated population in Fiji.
McCoy also got to hear the opinion of a likely Fiji First candidate.
Na buli weekend sa kila ka do sta ko mai we kiro na bio kami to ko weekend lele un anda beto na kami ko sa na bu da sin rawatan bul trafaki pina mati to Fiji First sami bandi takaya na lo manya bakiongo ka ro da chigo di manifesto wo kana ro kai wa kingo ken bina ka tak mai na bi ka sa chigo na nongo.
The Fiji First Party is adamant it will continue its free education policy, irrespective of what other political parties say. They are confident. With a powerful academia populace in a knowledgeable society, Fiji is likely to provide an attractive package to potential investors, in the process raking in much-needed financial returns. Apisolome Rambo, FJ1 News.
Before we go look into Pacific news, we'll go back to an earlier story. A new Hope Center for Widows was opened today, and this was officiated by Social Welfare Minister Dr. Chikulubeni in Teindamu in Lautoka. Apisolome Rambo with the details.
It's a special place just for widows in this area. This also represents a unique center that hopes to bring women together to share common experiences.
As soon as you are faced with a problem in your livelihood, in your family life, contact the government straight away. Although we do not provide housing for people under social welfare assistance, we are looking at that because, you know, I've been going around Fiji. I've visited more than 100 villages and settlements in 1 year. So very clearly is that we, social welfare, need to change, to reform our policies so that we bring back the housing assistance to my ministry.
For Stella Smith, like many widows here, losing her husband has left a vacuum in her life. This new facility hopes to offer her some relief.
With this center coming up, it's a great initiative of the Life Bread Ministry, and we believe as board members that it's going to help widows a lot. You know, especially those that have talents but don't know how to use it. With this center, we will be able to upskill their talents.
For those behind this welcome initiative, the new Hope Center plans to do exactly that, offer hope in their time of despair.
So please, you must give the word around that we provide for widows, single mothers, even wives of prisoners. They come under our care and protection scheme.
Apisolome Rambo, FJ1 News.